If I told you that this, and this were all the same game, would you believe me? Yeah, I probably wouldn't either, but they are, and it's none other than Romeo is a Deadman. Romeo is a Deadman was developed and published by Grasshopper Manufacture and released on February 10th, 2026. If the name sounds familiar, it's probably because this is the same genius mastermind behind legendary bangers like A Lollipop Chainsaw, No More Heroes, and my personal favorite, Killer is Dead. The common theme in all these games being crazy stories with even crazier settings and even crazier character leads. And if there's one thing I love in a video game, it's a weird ass Japanese man at the helm. It's no secret I'm a big fan of Kojima.
Like underneath my feet.
So when I found the Suda51 hidden gems, my entire life was changed. I didn't fully understand why Suda's games were the way they were until I read some articles about him for the release of Deadman, and after researching who he was a little bit, everything clicked. In an interview with the PlayStation blog, he states his reasoning for every game being so eccentric is that he tries to make games that are normal, but they always feel like they're missing something or they're too bland for him, so he adds his own, spices.
Look.
When playing through basically any Grasshopper game, it's easy to get lost and confused with what's going on, and while I can understand how that might frustrate some players, it's my favorite part. I'd say this is most prevalent in Deadman 2. You can call the game good or bad, confusing or basic, but what you cannot call it is predictable. If someone walked in on you playing this, and this all within 10 minutes, they'd probably think you were swapping through different games on different consoles. But nope, it's all just here. In an industry where following the beaten path and pushing as much slop out as possible is standard procedure, it's people like Suda who really shine in the industry for good reason. The story follows Romeo, a sheriff deputy traveling through space and time in search of the love of his life, Juliet. While obviously you'd think it's gonna be some kind of classic Shakespearean tragedy, it's nothing of the sort. But also kind of in its own way. In the best way possible, the game essentially follows 3 different plots at the same time. But to start from the beginning, you're driving around with your sheriff boss when you spot a dead body in the road. When you get out to investigate, a white devil rips your arm off and fucking kills you, and yeah, that's it, game over. Pack it up, guys. Just kidding. Obviously, before you die, your grandpa, Benjamin Stargazer, teleports to you and shoves a needle in your eye to keep you alive, but also dead. Effectively earning Romeo the title of Deadman, something that I can assure you will not be forgotten. Benjamin Stargazer is the clear scientific grandpa trope from things like Back to the Future and Rick and Morty, but he's got his own little personality quirks that set him apart from the crowd. In fact, during the brainstorming of the game, the original idea was for the game to mainly revolve around the dynamic between these two until Juliet slowly became more and more of a prominent figure in the development cycle. After Benjamin saves Romeo's life, he is recruited to the Time-Space FBI. You see, apparently different variants of Juliet have been popping up in the multiverse, and anywhere she goes, chaos follows. To top that off, a ragtag group of random-ass evil people keep getting powerful and fucking with the flow of space too. And they just so happen to be led by your toxic ex-girlfriend. And due to your close relationship with her, they task you with hunting her down. But every single time you get close to finding her, it turns out to be some evil entity looking to kill you. Eventually, after hunting down the space fugitives, you find your true Juliet, and Romeo is so happy he even starts reciting Shakespeare. Then we hear the words that shift the perspective of the entire game.
The moon will be gazing down on you.
I hate Shakespeare.
Well, I like him.
I don't even like Shakespeare. This might not seem that crazy, but I think it's honestly the core theme of the entire game. Romeo doesn't ever know Juliet. He found her on the side of the road, got some coffee with her like twice, then she disappeared. In the same interview from earlier, Suda stated that Romeo was written to be a kind-hearted and simple man. And I think he's also just a hopeless romantic. There is no tragic love story because there's not really a love story at all. You see, every time Romeo finds one of these monstrous versions of Juliet, he begins to feel upset and lose hope because he doesn't think he'll ever find his Juliet. But the problem is that they all are the real Juliet, and he simply doesn't want to face the fact that this version of her that he's idolized isn't a reality. He's more focused on the concept of being in love than he is with loving Juliet. I don't think he means any harm by this, but he doesn't truly understand what being in love really even means, and it's a theme that probably hits home for a lot of young men. Side note, I'm not really sure how to talk about this guy without making this video significantly longer.
No, seriously, how do I explain that there's a TV guy and he teleports through space and time to help me with missions, but he actually turns out to be my boss and the space-time overlord?
Just like that?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I guess it's not so hard. So yeah, essentially, long story short, the Nirvana TV from the beginning of the game turns out to be like a god of some sort, and stick with me for a second because the game has only been out for a week and MatPat is nowhere to be found, so I'm gonna do my best here. Essentially, the TV explains to us that in order to keep the universe from breaking apart, it was closed in a loop, but every loop is different. So instead of a circle, it's more like a sphere. Are you still here? Good. Now, after being the Time Lord for quite some time, Nirvana TV grows bored and wants to give it up. So I believe that he sends Juliet to Romeo and sets off the entire series of events the game follows to lead up to this moment, where Romeo meets him and learns the truth, defeats the famous intergalactic Naked, and takes up the mantle of the Nirvana TV. God, I hope this makes sense. After Romeo assumes the Time Lord position, I believe he is destined to set off the same series of events, thus completing the loop mentioned before. And after this, I have a couple different ideas. Either A, the Nirvana TV was Romeo the entire time and he's just stuck in that time loop, or B, the TV is Romeo's dad, maybe? In the first scenario, I imagine the story following almost the same plot as Little Nightmares 2. Romeo is both the Time Lord and Deadman. And it makes sense in my head since it's mentioned he's the only one who can go through the Nirvana TV portals, and if he was the Time Lord the entire time, he'd know to just let himself in because he has to complete the time loop. To be honest, the only reason I came up with the second theory is because at the end of the game there is essentially an OVA of Romeo's sister Luna gearing up in full Gundam and defeating Romeo, who's clearly a rogue Gundam. And I think this may be hinting that the Time Lord curse is bound to repeat itself within this family, and with Luna taking on the mantle after Romeo, this would also make sense when you think about each loop being different but still a loop. But the entire anime could literally just be dumbed down to Suda thinking it was cool, so he put it there and nothing relevant at all. But I guess we'll never know. I truly hope I explained the story in a way that made sense, but to be honest, I don't think it's even supposed to make full sense. Suda's no stranger to mysterious storytelling, and the very idea in itself that it doesn't make sense kind of aligns with the setting of the game being multiversal traveling. Experiencing all of the cutscenes and dialogue feels so different from the last, but so similar at the same time. It genuinely does feel like you get to experience multiple different stories in one campaign. And even if I can't fully comprehend it, I was more than happy to go on that journey through another one of Suda's games regardless. And if you've already played this game, please tell me what the hell was going on in the comments. Please, anything would help, to be honest. And to go along with the batshit crazy story, it's got some pretty addicting gameplay. It's essentially a tried and true hack and slash, but with a few unique twists. For starters, you're given both close and long-range weapons, which instantly throws a wrench in the standard hack and slash formula. But in order to balance the two, they've included the Bloody Summer system. Basically, if you're close to an enemy when you attack, they'll bleed. If you're standing in the blood, this meter will build up, and upon using it, you'll unleash a powerful attack and regain some HP as a reward. And yes, all roads lead to Ultra Kill. It cannot be understated how useful this is, especially early game before you have all your healing upgrades. The game gives you 4 different melee weapons and 4 ranged weapons, all suited for different scenarios. Is a boss outmaneuvering you and overwhelming you with speed? Match him. Is he on his ass and throwing readable attacks? Then blow his ass up. And the last mechanic is the Bastard system. This one's a little more weird, but still useful. Basically, you can pick up bastard seeds and plant them. After planting them, a mindless slave zombie will emerge from the ground, ready to die for whatever reason you deem fit. You can fuse them to make new combinations and upgrade them, but it feels so tedious that I didn't even bother until I was getting fucked so hard by the final boss that I caved in and spent 40 minutes doing the hard work that I neglected my whole playthrough. This was probably my least favorite part of the game since it kind of took me out seeing these stumbling idiots pop up, fuck up their one job, then die. And I wish it was easier to ignore that they were even in the game, but I will admit, some of them did end up winning me over. There's still so much more to this game that I haven't even graced over in this video, like the different unique characters in the hub, or really anything about the individual boss fights that all have their own little storylines. So if anything I talked about even slightly piqued your interest, please go support this game. I'm praying it makes it into some Game Award category because I genuinely believe weird and experimental shit like this is exactly what we need in the gaming space in today's date. And if you do end up checking out, leave a Steam review telling them the cuck sent you. And comment what you think. The game just came out, so I have nobody to talk about it with. With all of that being said, thank you for watching, subscribe, and like if you enjoyed the video, and I'll see you next time, chuds.